kicking it off, talking about, again, the man I feel like we've talked about more than anybody else representing the U.S. men's national team. That's Weston McKennie. Again, was named Player of the Month for Juventus in the month of January. But now the question of his future coming into question. Obviously, the last 3 off seasons, the question has been, will Juventus bring Weston McKennie back? You know, you and I have both talked about probably comfortably their best player with the organization right now. So what is the future for Weston McKennie? And there are a few options. He could resign with Juventus. Feels like maybe a comfortable decision. Obviously, he's been very productive for that squad. Again, in my mind, I don't see any rational reason as to why that organization would say that his spot is not safe. Maybe in previous years, maybe there was
organizations. I like it. I like you call them organizations.
What are they normally called? Is that not
Clubs.
what they're normally called? Clubs. Okay, clubs. Is organizations just not like an accepted term in the soccer space, generally speaking?
Not like you,
because I guess they're not
organizations.
organizations.
A franchise, that's not an organization. It's just the club.
Yeah,
the club.
Okay, interesting. But anyways, so
I like that you call it organization, though. It's very American.
Maybe that's it is a very American thing. And some of these organizations that I talk about, we'll talk about the Tigers later. They just make so much money that it's just like, how can you not call it an organization? Calling it a club feels like more like homegrown, like grassroots. But anyways, you're right. Okay, the accepted terminology, the club. But to return to that club now, the only reason why I maybe think that Weston McKennie is having any hesitation with that is really in some ways because of, in his mind, how ungrateful they've been the last handful of seasons.
It's not his hesitation. It's the club's hesitation.
But
it's
right, but if they were to come to him with an offer, that's what I'm saying. That's what like he would probably be thinking at the same exact time. Like, you've been pulling me around this whole time. I'm done with this experiment. I'm done with having to prove my spot every single year. But the club dragging their feet is a mind scratcher to me. The MLS conversation, I just think, just from an overall perspective, I just think he's too far deep to talk about coming back to the MLS. And by too far deep, I mean he's too far ingrained in the Italian game right now, and he's doing well in Europe. So for him, unless the MLS finds a way to take a massive leap forward in terms of relevancy in the next couple of years, I don't see why someone like Weston McKennie would even entertain the idea of coming back to Major League Soccer. Inter Milan is a unique conversation. I'd love to hear what your justification is and why you think that'd be a good spot for him, but I know that there have been links already connected between McKennie and his position at Juventus and now Inter Milan maybe having some interest there. But what says you about McKennie's future? Because I think it's certainly questionable at best when we talk about Juventus.
Well, I think if he gets the offer to stay at Juventus, he's going to stay at Juventus. It's more of if the club wants to shoot. It's whether the club wants to keep him around or not. The only reason the MLS thing came up, this is just the article I was reading this morning, was Inter Milan, who has been kind of beating around the bush with McKennie and all that fun stuff. But they've also they've said that they're interested in him. They told him that, or his agent, that they're interested. Because again, he becomes a free agent at the end of the season, so it's not like he can absolutely talk to other clubs. It's not, there's no rule against it. This isn't the NCAA where there's tampering involved, and that's illegal. But no, I think 100% if McKennie wants to stay at Juventus, he will, if he's given an offer that he likes. If the offer is, nowhere near what he wants, then yeah, he's going to leave. But if the same offer between Inter Milan and Juventus are there, I think he stays at Juventus because, he's their best player. And Inter Milan, does he necessarily, they could ultimately win the league in breaking into being a starter on a Serie A winning side. That's a little bit difficult to do. Their midfield is a little bit weaker than I thought it was. Cholongu is still there, and my Polish brother Zielinski is still there, but he's old, so he'll be gone soon.
You're Polish?
Huh?
You're Polish?
Look at my last name.
Mashke Mash, my brother. I didn't know that. All right, what's up, dude?
Speak it, but no.
You had a punchki or a punchki?
Those are trash.
They're oh my god! You get out of here. All right. Anyways, go ahead.
They're trash. For the people at home, anyone SKI is 99.9% you have a 99.9% chance of them being Polish.
I didn't even think about your last name, True. You just said you were Hungarian the other day, and you kind of look Hungarian. So, like,
I don't even know.
I didn't know how much
like.
Polish You got, aren't they normally like darker hair, like more like I guess I don't know. Isn't Hungary South
I'm not well established in my
in
nationality
your lineage?
culture.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but no,
We got to
anyone.
get you to a polka dance.
No, I don't. I don't like that. I don't like the polka.
All right. All right.
My
Okay.
family
All right.
does. I don't.
All right.
I don't like it. But no,
Really? All right.
anyone with the last name OV in it,
Yeah, it's true.
99.9% chance it's Russian. SKI.
Or an MC to begin it that's Irish, a mix something. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
something somewhere along the
anything.
lines.
There's
Yeah.
another way you can tell if they're Polish. Oh, also to tell if they're Polish, if it's got the most random letters put together,
Oh yeah.
99.9% chance it's Polish. Like
How do
you
you?
got a Z
Yeah.
with a Y, you got a B with a W, like next to each other. Yeah, 99%.
How many Z's would you guess is in the name Shapansky?
Shapansky?
Yeah.
I think it's only like one.
The one time that I read the name off, it was a swimmer from Poland.
3?
3 Z's.
Interesting.
Where?
Interesting.
Where? Anyways.
Probably the first, third letter, and probably one letter before the SKI. That's probably where it goes.
Yeah. Anyways, so as you were saying, I don't know how we got there. Rabbit trails.
Yeah, because I said Zelensky. My Polish brother, who is gonna be is that still there? Anyway, Umbrella's still there too for Inter Milan. Anyway, if he's looking at these 3 options, if he's giving Juventus, he's gonna stay at Juventus. If not, I think Inter Milan is a good opportunity. You still stay in the same league. We have Pulisic versus McKennie in the Milan derby. That'd be pretty cool to say that. I mean, if you asked an American 10 years ago, well, there's going to be 2 Americans in the Milan derby in 10 years. And what would you tell them? And they'd be like, what? Are they like the ball boys? Are they, an assistant coach? Or what's that going there? But anyway, I think that'd be good. I think it'd be a good move for him. It'd be more of the question of, can he break into the starting 11 consistently? I think there's definitely a pathway for him, and especially with going on in the transfer window and all that fun stuff. And then the MLS is just a safety blanket for any of these players that are playing overseas. That's all it is. If you can't make it there, if you can't make it in Europe, the MLS is always there. I know he was in the FC Dallas Academy, I believe. I'm pretty sure he was in that. So again, I'm sure Dallas would open up with open arms. I think McKennie's also from Texas too. But I mean, the New York teams, the LA teams, the Miamis, like they all have money to give McKennie. Does he want to go to the MLS? Probably not. But I do see at some point this summer after the World Cup one big move of an American overseas into the MLS. I don't know who it is. I mean, I would say Pulisic no. I would say Aronson no. And I would say Adams no. Richards no. I don't know who the player would be, but there's going to be one player that makes a move over to the MLS that's from overseas just because some billionaire investor is going to somehow like take over a team or something or become like an executive or something and want to give money to a team to bring one American over because he just fell in love with the World Cup. So that's I think there's going to be one move of an American in the MLS. Don't know who it is. Don't really care who it is, as long as it's not one of our starting 11 players.
Yeah.
But no, that's what Pulisic's got, or McKennie's got 3 options. I think the best one is to just stay at Juventus if he can, but it's really up to the club if he wants to stay or not.
Stay at Juventus because you don't think he's going to be able to have ample playing time on Inter Milan. That's why you think he should stay?
To start, I don't know. I mean, you got to see what type of business they do. But no, you're already a starter. I mean, yeah, he starts and dominates for one side. I mean, why leave it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and I mean, and stay where he is and stay in a position where you can continue to go out and play as frequently as he does, and obviously the ability to move around the pitch as well, because we've seen a lot about his versatility and his ability to do multiple different things. Yeah, you're right about the MLS thing, and I hope that you're right with that prediction. I really do, because right now it seems like a far cry, but again, don't underestimate what a World Cup can do, because if the invention of the MLS is what resulted from the last time the World Cup was here, then you would like to imagine that there would be something else, groundbreaking, goodness gracious, that happens because of this World Cup. It's only natural to assume that. But I find a hard time kind of pinpointing who, if we're talking about American players, who it would be that would be want to voluntarily come back here that makes a difference. So I'm not talking about like Josh Sargent. Like all due respect to
Yeah.
Josh Sargent, but I don't that doesn't necessarily set the world ablaze that he's coming back to play in Toronto. So like, but you just went through some of the names like McKennie. No, probably not. Adams, no. Richards, certainly not, because he's really starting to break in at Crystal Palace, so I can't see him going backwards. Weston McKennie, no. Again, he's being earmarked by other clubs in the league in Italy right now, and obviously much better sides than Inter Milan. No, I can't see that. Like, maybe one of the younger guys, sure, but they're not necessarily ones that change the narrative. So, here, I'll give you this. It's Ronaldo or bust for the MLS. How about that? You got to get Ronaldo or it's no, I'm kidding. But I just have a hard time picturing who it is, even with how impactful the World Cup is going to be. And it's going to change a lot of things. I think it's going to change participation. I think it's going to make certain other leagues more popular. I think the USL is going to benefit greatly from the World Cup. I think the MLS will benefit greatly from the World Cup. I think certain teams will see an increase in attendance, and I think jersey sales, and I think just seeing the game is going to inspire a lot of, even younger kids now to continue to go out and play, because we know just the sheer number of kids, but not just play, but to stay involved later in life, which I think is the biggest issue for soccer, because a lot of young kids play, but then they just get out of it. They choose something else. It's going to have those impacts. But I don't know, Ryan. I can't really come up with the player that I think would be actually comfortable being the one to step away from what's expected of them, which is you're going to succeed everywhere else, and actually come back to the U.S. Maybe it's Weston McKennie. Maybe. I can see where you're coming with in thinking that way.
I think ultimately it's probably going to be Gio Reyna. That's ultimately. I mean,
Gio could be. Yeah.
This is how I got this idea, and I was trying to find the article during that. This was reported from Matteo Moretto, who was talking to Fabrizio Romano this morning about it. He says, the first is that Juventus will make another attempt to renew him, this being Weston McKennie, but the real problem is the additional cost of the deal. MLS has a concrete scenario for the player. He's received several approaches and calls from the leagues, and he has never been indifferent to the idea of returning home. The third point is that in recent weeks, Inter has also been asking for information about McKennie on a free transfer. So again, that's what I've talked about. McKennie can absolutely leave. His contract ends on June 30th, 2026. Well, what's the benefit of that being that contract running until June 30th, 2026? Well, he's in the World Cup at that. Hopefully, they're still in the World Cup at that point. But no,
What I will say is, if McKennie did come back, I think that would get the ball rolling for sure. I think that would make it even more attractive for other American teammates.
Yeah, I would say so, but ultimately we don't want that. As a USA fan, we don't want McKennie to come over.
It's true. We don't want them all to come back. Yeah.
I ultimately think it's going to be Gio Reyna, just because he struggles at the club level and he does fine with the men's national team level. I mean, he always shows up and scores a goal for some, and he makes an impact for whatever reason for the U.S. But with his club, he's always kind of struggling. So I think it ultimately becomes Gio Reyna who comes over here. Whether that is the big move that I've talked about, I think it would be him. But the idea of the MLS, if you're a USA men's national team soccer fan, the idea is simply this. I was literally talking about this with my dad yesterday. I go, you want these players to, at age 17 or 18, leave and
ship them off.
Huh?
I said ship them off.
Yes, you want these 17 or 18-year-olds that are either breaking into the MLS side for their MLS side for the first time. You want them sold overseas and them at least give it a shot, see what it's like over there, because obviously the more darts you throw at the board, the more you're eventually gonna hit a couple of big players, and then at that
bullseyes.
Yeah, exactly. And then you want to eventually hope. The idea is them to leave at 18 and eventually come back at the age of like 31, 32, 33 back to the MLS. That's the hope. Whether a player wants to stay overseas for that long, away from home, that's a different discussion. But it seems like Pulisic not having an issue with it. Tyler Adams isn't having an issue with it. Chris Richards isn't having an issue with it. So there's something about that. And yesterday I saw Matthias Albert start practicing with the first team of Dortmund. So shout out to him. And obviously he's a young player. I think he's 16 or 17. But no, ultimately, if they don't move at the age of 13 or 14 to be in their academies over there, eventually, if they're in an MLS academy, get them out of here at 18, go overseas, give it a shot, and then hopefully you come back at the age of 31 or 32, which means if that's the case, then that means you had a very successful pro career and you're a pretty good player, and hopefully you help the USA. But that's ultimately the goal for if you're a USA soccer fan. If your goal is to grow the MLS, then you got to have your homegrown talent here. But if you're a fan of the U.S. men's national team, we got to get these guys overseas and doing their thing. Just like if you're a French basketball fan, a French national team basketball fan, you don't want Wembanyama playing in the French league. No, you want Wembanyama
you want
playing
him in the NBA. Yep.
And playing against guys like Dylan Brooks every day to see if he cracks under pressure when Dylan Brooks is talking junk to you.
That's why it's always weird to me when people are like, well, why do you call it why do you call it your American championships, world championships, or world this or world that?
Oh,
it's
what was the Noah Lyles said that?
Noah Lyles, yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because everybody's kind of grasped onto it, but I'm like, the NBA is literally more than half of the NBA is not American. I'm like, they're the best players from all around the world and they come to play here. So yeah, I do think it is accurate to call it something in regards to the world, whether it be a World Series, whether it be whatever else. But I don't know. That's just an annoying topic that always just bothers me. It's like, there's not other teams around the world. I'm like,
I would like to see an NBA.
Sure.
Can we create like a World Cup or like a Champions League of just teams from around the country or around the world? Excuse me. And we just.
I think it's called the World Champion. There's a World FIBA World Cup.
No, I'm saying like these NBA teams. Like these NBA teams go play like the French teams or like they go play. Real Madrid's a real basketball team, so we just have them play Real Madrid and stuff. Like I mean,
and for what it's worth, like. Those European teams have won those games before. They've won exhibitions against NBA teams, but like
it's exhibition. And
come on now. Yeah.
Like how much were these teams actually trying? So like there's a grain of salt.
Exactly.
Like, whenever you hear the behind closed door scrimmages or like even when Arsenal's like lost to QPR this season in a behind closed door scrimmage, they lost like 3-0. Well, tell me who was starting. What were the minutes distribution, and what did the game look like? Because like I remember the 8-24 Jawan team beat top 10 Marquette in a behind closed door scrimmage. It's like, guys, come on.
We're grasping at straws here at this point. We're just trying to build up anything we can. But